Yeah.
Oh
This
my
is raw
goodness.
and uncut, everyone.
Let's not go down that
Raw and
hole.
uncut version. If you're here live, you are seeing things right now you probably will not see when we release this recording.
This is why they don't let me go live anymore.
Yeah,
Oh,
I plead the fifth on that. The fifth.
I was thinking about today on the way somewhere. I was at the gym or something. Just um, like sometimes I consider myself like the irreverent reverend,
hmm.
and I think there's like value there. Don't we like, I don't know, like all the stuffed shirts and the way I grew up with church. It was so like prim and proper, and you never said anything, out of line. You get smacked in the back of the head, and
Mhm.
Yeah,
I was like, sorry,
it
go
was
ahead.
so different for me in that regard.
And like I just heard today, like in this podcast listening to about how, I mean, we know what was it they said is that the reason that play makes it easier to learn is because our ego is diminished during play.
Hmm.
And so information is quicker to assimilate into our conscious and subconscious mind if our ego is not playing defense, so there's a good reason to be
Oh,
silly.
absolutely. So much of my upbringing and education, like, was in context of game. This is a
Mm.
game.
Mhm.
So I oftentimes look at life. This is a game. There are rules. How do we want to play? What rules do we want to change?
Exactly. And that is what led us here because yesterday, like, it's been an intense month of lots of change is coming and lots of back end improvements and program development stuff. And when we're working so much or like really hyper focused on something and it's like consuming our mental and energetic being, um, it can just feel like it's all happening and it's hard to see through it. But I had some kind of moment of revelation. It was like around 5 p.m. or whenever I messaged you, Athena. And I was like, I was thinking about this today. And in my head, like, this is a fun thing that I was excited to plan and put it on the calendar and everything for a month. But it was like, oh, I got to do this thing tomorrow and I got to do this thing tomorrow. And I got to do this thing. And then it hit me like, hold on, wait. I I get to be on a call and have a conversation with people that I love for my job and for this work that I care so much about. Oh my gosh, this is pretty cool. This is really cool. And
Right?
then there was a moment of opening when I let go of this is something I have to do, another thing I plan for myself to do. I let go of that. And then the idea came of like, oh, what if we made this a live event for members only? And then I ran to the computer. How can I make this a private live? How can I do it? And Mighty Network's live stream quality, they're still working on improving that. So I figured it out. So if you're here live on the YouTube live thing, I just figured that out like last night. I didn't think it was possible, and the window just flew open with possibility. So thank you, universe, for bringing us here together to reflect. If you're watching the recording, it's great to have you here as well with the founders of Sanctuary together in one Restream room, having fun. This is
Hmm.
fun today. Over the next hour, we're going to reflect and share stories that maybe some of us forgot that we're going to remind each other happened over the last, how many years have we known each other since
Like
you
eight
came up
and a half.
to Jamaica? Oh my
Like
gosh.
8.5, 8 years. Yeah.
So like over the last 8 years, that's crazy.
I know.
So,
What?
is that it's not 2016,
I
2017?
I interviewed with Eric in 2017, fall of 2017, and it was in Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
March of 2018. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay.
Wow.
I'm bumping it up a little because I go for
Give it a little bump.
feels like an eternity.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Which timeline are we talking about
Right,
here?
right.
Yeah. So a lot has happened, and I'm sure y'all listening can really relate to this, that so much as life is happening, it goes. And it's really, really special when we get to reflect on it and have witnesses in that reflection. So thank you all for being here, whether you're live as a member of Sanctuary or you're tuning in to the recording, member or not. Thank you for being here and helping play that role of witness. We have so many questions to pick from. Some questions are submitted from our community members, mostly members of Sanctuary, which I'm excited to get to those questions. And then we have some fun questions that we came up with, some that are AI generated. Thank you, AI, and much respect. And so we're just gonna pick and choose the questions here and have fun with it. First, let's see which question to choose from. We have a lot here. Okay, I know. Here's a good first one. What inspired the name Sanctuary? And can we talk about that?
I mean, we didn't really talk about how real we want to get here. I'm 100% good with being as real can be, personally.
Well, and I just have been, as I heard, as
Without
I
saying
was hearing you
names.
speak, Courtney, it was just, I was reflecting on how awesome it is to get to have this live conversation with witnesses, because we don't have conversations like this as often as we have had in the past. But two, like one of my favorite moments about one of my favorite things about this community is when I get to be in person with people or like have these intentional conversations. And so not everyone gets to get that energy, like that natural play energy that comes with like spending any amount of time with each other. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to like give people a inside look of like how our relationship feels in like that real life setting, like as real life as we can get, you know? So to say, Eric, like I'm here for everyone to show up authentically and let's have a good time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think in the context of how you're relating to this too, is like, I know that like we three have had visions, and so like, even if that stuff comes up, I feel like it's one of the most important things to model for community. I saw a question saying what's the most difficult thing, and that's I could speak to that. But anyway, let's talk about how this name started. So
and also, y'all, I'm still figuring out this live thing. So I just figured out how to open the chat for the people that are here. And I'm seeing some messages that I want to acknowledge. So I just want to say good morning, Cindy, Jeremiah, Dawn, Douglas, Elena. Hey, and anybody else who's here. Jeremiah, thank you for tuning in from work. We'll try and keep this as, what's that term for work friendly? Anyway, you have headphones on. No, we won't. I'm sure you have headphones on. And Elena did ask a question, and no, you didn't miss it. We're going to get to that. Don't worry. All right. Just wanted to acknowledge our people here. Awesome. Story of Sanctuary. Continue.
Yeah, so I was contacted by this guy who was arrested. He was working on a mushroom farm up in Michigan or something, a big maitake farm, and he reached out to me on LinkedIn, desperate. He had just been arrested. and was dealing with all that for psilocybin. And he had heard my story, or our story, but had heard me talking about it, and wanted to know if he could talk with me about how he might navigate this. And so we set up a phone call, and my heart went out to the guy, and really felt he had like 2 small kids, a wife, and then this job and everything. And I don't know if we were actively in Jamaica. We're back and forth between Jamaica a lot at that time. And so I was like, dude, I don't know what I need. I want to help you any way I can. And long story short, he ended up moving down from Michigan and renting our house for while we were in Jamaica. And he was helping to get Pledge off the ground, sort of, and trying to do some stuff there. And I remember Athena had some meetings with him here in Louisville during that time. And then when we came back from Jamaica, it was so wild, the synchronicity of it, because they were like, we had decided we were going to sell our house here in Kentucky, and they had decided they were going to move back to Michigan and take care of their house. And then just kind of the whirlwind of things coming together, we ended up back here in the States and not selling the house, and they moved back, and he and I stayed in contact, and I started talking with him about this idea of a church, and we were talking about names, and he had said we had asked him if he would be on the board of it, and he had agreed, and we were still like talking about names. And he told me one day that he had this name Psanctuary with a P for he didn't think of it as a church. He had thought about it for something else, a community, or I forget what he said, but something. But he was like, I want to use this for Sanctuary. I want you and us to use this name for Sanctuary. And I was like, are you sure? You for real? You like, you've been sitting on this name? Because like I come up with names. It's important. It's like valuable to me. And he's like, no, I really want this to be the church's name. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, let's do it. And I think I brought it to y'all, and Courtney was like, everybody's going to say Peace Sanctuary. I was like, no, they're not. Nobody says peace psilocybin. Nobody says, I'm going to go see my psychiatrist today. Well, there's certainly a population that says Peace Sanctuary, and we love you for that. We especially love those of you who have been members for like a year and still say Peace Sanctuary, even in a crowd where people are saying Sanctuary.
Especially because it just makes me feel so much more right. I love it when I'm right.
Well, girl, I mean, you just wake up and got that option. Living with me makes you right. Anyway.
Well, I'm glad we chose the name. I love it.
I do too. And I do think I would like, because I want to share this component of it, because I think this is one of the most important things that we need to help people start understanding about community if we're going to have long-term sustainable community that continues to come back together, is that everybody fucks up, and that all you got to do is just like eat some crow and have a conversation and come back together. And what happened is this individual who gave us the name of Sanctuary just like relapsed, and like out of nowhere just like started like sending everybody like these really ugly text messages. And it was one of the hardest decisions for me. Like it's always like, so again, like, I'll be straight up honest and vulnerable. Like, one of the things that has gotten me in trouble the most is not like just like saying something's done when it's done. Like, this is not a good fit, let's just move on. I have always had this tendency, because I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I want to make things work. I want to help. And I'm just like, all right, well, let's just not say anything. Let's just try to work through it. And it was so hard for me, because we gave the guy like 2 or 3 chances. And there were a couple of loops of this kind of alcoholism and violent, aggressive speech. And it was really, really hard for me to, it took you all saying like, yeah, we got to do this. We got to remove him from the board. And so there's like, he actually just sent me a friend request on Facebook about a month ago. I just saw the other day when I logged in for the first time in forever. And I'm gonna accept it and hope that there can be a conversation, because that's one of the, like, sincerely, people listening to this, I really want people to know that if we just come together and just talk kindly, respectfully to each other, like we don't even have to agree. We may still disagree on whatever it is, and still be in community together. You don't have to like be kumbaya with everybody that you're in a community with. There can be like ongoing challenging conversations. And so I don't know, I there's a part of me that hopes that he does like come back around and be like, you know, I'm working on things and I'd like to take another stab at this, maybe not being on the board, but like just being within the community. So
That's a great story for kind of reflecting on Sunday service this Sunday, which the email hasn't gone out yet, you all, but trust me, it's on my mind. I know you're waiting. You're waiting at your inbox. Just like, when am I going to know what the reading is for Sunday service? I mean, maybe you really are, which would be awesome. But it's coming. For a preview, though, it's going to be from Soulcraft, which we read this book on Sunday service a month ago. And it's focused on this concept of the second cocoon, which is a rite of passage that each of us goes through in life. And it's shorter for some and longer for others. But a key identifier of this rite of passage is this experience of withdrawal and exile from community, and how it's an important part of life that we all go through somewhere, some way, at least once, and hopefully just once, but like there's one big time. And so yeah, it seems like it's an honor for me to be able to witness that and be a part of it for folks with Sanctuary.
Yeah, and I guess what this brings up for me as I'm hearing you reflect that far back on some of those initial challenges that came up in such like a small group of people, is it showed us where we had gaps, and where we needed to create more infrastructure to support ourselves, really, and create these healthy boundaries, which I feel like coming off of the retreat model, we already had like one understanding of what these type of partnerships and relationships could look like within the psychedelic mushroom space. And we were like, okay, we know we want to do these things differently. But then once you get into it, you really don't know, like policies aren't created until you see that there's a need for one to be created, and you can do your best guess and look at other models, but until something happens, and especially trying to create something, what is that, a mic?
Eric, is that your mic?
What?
It must be you because you don't hear it. Yeah, it is.
This is him.
Whoa. I think there's some entities coming through your microphone.
Wow.
When I mute it, does it stop?
Yes. Well, are you muted now? Yes. It's stopped. Stopped.
Mic static.
Whatever's going on, y'all.
It's
the planet.
The planet is having a panic attack. We're all leveling up right now, including.
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay. Yeah, just to say, like, you don't know, and then even if you do have a policy in place, until you actually need to implement it, you don't know how that's gonna go. And because we're working with humans, like, and we're trying to bring this people forward approach, like create spaces where people can be people and show up authentically themselves, which is not always our best selves. But if we have, like, I feel like it took us a good long while to be like, when something would come up, oh, what does our bylaws say? Like, we try and navigate it without going back to our foundational agreements. And now what you see is like we bring those agreements to the top of the conversation. They're not in the background that we fall back on when things get messy. They're in the forefront. Hey, these are our agreements as a community now, and it feels so much better stepping into those spaces. And it's also a trauma-informed approach to building community, like recognizing we each are coming in as human beings with our own stuff, many of us to the mushroom for a very specific reason. How are we going to learn and create shared language, shared understanding, and still meet each other where we're at along this journey? Because it gets messy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And starting off as well with this hope. So initially, we started off with the focus of being decentralized, and that was the model, the governance model specifically, like decentralization, with us really not knowing the true dynamic day to day of what that would take to be decentralized. And I remember speaking with some friends and folks who had been on retreat with us in Jamaica, and one woman in particular who had experience as a Quaker, I think. And she was like, y'all, are you sure you want to do this decentralization thing? Because it will take you forever to come to one decision. Like, it will take you years to decide on one thing. It will take so long for this vision to be fulfilled. Like, you really might want to look into this a lot more. And that got us thinking, and we weren't really sure how to move forward because we still didn't know, like, well, what do we do? Because we don't want to be top down. We want to move out. We want to move into a more mycelial model and guided by the mushroom. And it took us a while to finally get to this point of holacracy, which is this combined decentralization and democracy type of hybrid. And we're still learning it, like trying to step out of the box of patterns of generations and generations and society and the culture we live in, and change the way we do policy to fit into a different box. It's really, really hard. So thank you for everyone who's having patience with us as we as a community learn a ton. And that includes like the agreements that you brought up, Athena. Having the agreements and then learning as a community that's growing with new members coming in all the time, learning the agreements together constantly in practice, and then trying to model them and help in a group setting, like at Sunday service. Like, keeping the agreements in check is really challenging. It's challenging as an individual who's participating in Sunday service to know, like, what does this even mean? What does welcome everything mean? Because I'm pretty sure that I don't want to welcome everything right now, or I've got opposing views, or like, how do I live this? So that's a big, it's a big and exciting thing that we get to do together, is like really embody who we are as a community and how we're showing up in these agreements, and holding each other accountable, because it can't just be, I mean, we really don't want it to be just us, like the people who are like staff. Please, let's all help each other out. Eric, can you unmute so we can see how your audio, if you're still getting abducted by aliens?
I haven't changed anything, so.
It was doing something a little funny. Is there a different mic? Maybe it's the microphone. Or
there's many mics down here.
Hey. So coming back in the chat, I think I can do something cool.
Ooh.
Boom. I put it in the screen. I put the chat in the screen. Hey, I'm learning things. I'm learning.
Does it sound better?
It's really hot.
That's probably what it is overall. This, for whatever reason, this Zoom
That's
recorders
better.
Sound is much better right now.
immediately go into like 90 whenever it returns on.
Who was on
so
who here was on the Sacred Mushrooms Throughout History presentation on Tuesday night?
Well, remind us how
you did an amazing
horrible it was.
job, Eric, of navigating all the like audio and like tech internet stuff. Oh my gosh.
I didn't do anything. I just talked. Elena,
But that's really hard. Like it's really
It's
hard.
very
So
hard.
much information, and when people keep saying your internet's cutting out, I personally just get really like hot and sweaty when I'm like, oh my gosh, they can't hear me, but I'm talking. Am I frozen? What's happening?
Yeah.
So anyway, way to go. There were a lot of tech challenges, but if anybody's wondering who's here, when you're going to see that recording, if you weren't able to make it, or we've gotten some people saying, I want the recording, I want to share it with my family members and my loved ones. We are making it good. We're making it great. We're making the recording.
Yeah, we're
really
going to
great.
record it separately and do it. Are we gonna do some of these questions, or are we going to talk about the thing we already talked about?
That's a good question. All right, so here's a question we got.
This is how.
Thanks for bringing it back. Look at you.
This is how it actually works.
That's how things get done.
Real live behind the scenes. Okay, here's a question we got from a member. How do we differentiate from real mushroom chocolate and legal market chocolate that are laced with other pharma drugs without being on the label?
It's they're actually finding, I was telling this on one of the calls the other night, how a lot of these Amanita products that are being sold legally, there was one in particular last year that was found, like they're putting psilocybin in something that's labeled Amanita to give someone an effect. Right. So, I mean, I personally, I would not buy any packaged mushroom chocolate that didn't come off of a shelf in a legal store in a legal state. That's how I would do it. I say that like, and like Jeff could give me some mushroom chocolates and I'd be like, thanks, because
somebody you know
like
really well.
It's the source, right? That's what I'm getting at. It's like all about the source. But like a wrapped, something that's wrapped and labeled, I don't know. I've seen a lot of different places are just psilocybin, but in this unregulated market, you got to really be careful because you don't know what's going on out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm of the mind personally, like I don't accept anything from anyone. I don't know who grew it themselves. That's just how I roll. I'm not as risk tolerant with accepting things, or even at like the MAPS conference, like people were like, hey, I'm like, I'm good. I'll wait for ceremony.
Even like there's a reality that the mushrooms are so good at soaking up. They're so good at soaking up like what's in the environment. You know, they can uptake heavy metals very easily. In indigenous cultures, we talk about this a lot, that the practice has been for like young children are the ones that collect the wild mushrooms because it's believed that their energy impacts the mushrooms. And I feel so strongly like it's even like strains like Penis Envy and Enigma and some of these like Shakti and all these ones that are like engineered just to be more potent. They're missing the spirit, man. You eat these mushrooms, it's like, oh, I'm fucked up, but there's no spirit to them. And then you eat some mushrooms like golden teachers that Jeff grew, or some ovoids that called to me from the roadside and I go pick them. You know, you eat them and there is a different quality to them. So, you know, I'm not sure that the general public is able to consider that. But those who know mushrooms know that that's a reality. And so like, I'd be reluctant just to buy mushrooms off a shelf, period. Honestly.
Yeah.
Get them from a good grower, somebody, you know, that's a good hearted grower, or grow them yourself. Even better. They're pretty easy to grow.
Yeah, that was a big part of our early conversations too. Like coming off that retreat model and into this church model, it took us a while to kind of navigate, like, what's that look like? But one thing we knew, like, when that exchange of funds came in the retreat model, it was just a different experience than what we're getting to experience now in our community ceremony space, because I was, I was the person that kind of took a lot of the anxiety and frustrations people experienced because they didn't get what they expected to get.
Or like in the midst of it, this is something that it's a conversation that is like a level 4 conversation for space holding and creating spaces generally. And there's like all this talk about like, even like the shaman's got to eat too, like we got to pay bills, and I 100% agree. And there is an undeniable reality that when there is money in between 2 or more people in a sacred space, then it creates a disturbance. There's a little to a lot of distortion in there. And I like, for all the struggles that we've had to create this community, that we are finally at the donation-based ceremony space, is like, that is so important to me, and I think to all of us, for this very reason. Another thing too that you reminded me of, Athena, that I always just felt ick about is encapsulating mushrooms, handing out, like a handful of, here's 5 grams of capsules. And it just disconnects the consumer, the communicant, from the living sacrament. Like, I even thought about that last night. As I remember in church, they used to talk about Jesus as the living sacrament. And yet, again, is that not another correlation with mushrooms? And the last thing I'll say, I'll stop talking after this, is that is a new study that has just come out a day or two ago that is showing that psilocybin lengthens telomeres, right? So psilocybin actually extends life. When they applied psilocybin to lung tissue, it helped lung tissue regrow. When they applied it to various tissues, it actually assisted in tissue regrowth. And I have had for years back in Paoli, I had this experience that was just like overwhelmingly saying, like, this is the fountain of youth. This is the fountain of youth that actually Cortez and his explorers were searching for when they heard the indigenous people talking about this fountain of eternal life, this fountain of youth. Mushrooms were also spoken of as fountains, little flowers. They're not just, and so I think we're coming up on the edge of some really interesting discoveries, and part of that's going to be the energetic abilities of the mushrooms.
Yeah, that's a huge untouched conversation for the most part right now. So Jordan Lab in the chat here, hey, says, good morning, I have a question. What are prospects / value of aligning with other like-minded organizations, like in the mushroom denomination? LOL. Prospects and value of.
So you think she's specifically referring to churches? Other churches?
Yeah, probably.
Seems like it.
Mushroom denomination. Maybe though, but churches operate in all kinds of different ways. So if it's a like-minded organization, maybe it's a branch off of a business off of a church, or a camp or something. There's all kinds of ways that.
Yeah, that was one thing. Again, that we wanted to do. We wanted to shift our energy towards with Psanctuary when we came back from Jamaica, was having more of a collaborative spirit than a for-profit, like, competitive energy. Like, we don't want to share, we don't want to, it's kind of like the vibe. It's not always the vibe in a for-profit environment, but trying to get ahead before somebody else type of energy. And so that has been a part of our conversation and continues to be like how do we collaborate more with other churches? It'd be great to collaborate more with other mushroom churches who are really like putting in the work and wanting to do this really well and in a transparent way. Would love
Yeah,
to see that.
I met a few leaders at the conference last month, and the two that I talked to, I was like, everyone's doing it differently, right? Like, so everyone is coming to this church community approach very differently. And so you see everything on the scale from like someone operating at the level that we are, where there's a lot of built-in community support systems. There's a very like clear communication around our values and what our goals are. And then there's everything in between too. Like, here's your email. Now you can order sacrament for a price and we'll send it to you. And so there's everything in between. But while I was at the conference, I had the opportunity to meet some folks that are doing it what feels like more in alignment with where we're at. And I was talking to a founder who's just getting started. And one of the things we were speaking on, and one of the things I see modeled really well in the nonprofit work I do, is how we can find ways, well, one, peer support, because being in this role, it's very difficult to share your frustrations and your challenges and your wins and kind of development processes with the average person, because there's no one else doing what we're doing. Like, they're very, 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 very small percentage of people are doing what we're doing. So one value I would see from aligning and collaborating with other founders and church communities is peer support. To say, hey, this is working for us, or this isn't working, or I've come up against this challenge. Like, what have you done? Because again, until you have a challenge you don't know you need to address or create a process for, like, we can have these conversations sooner. Two, the offerings may be different in those community spaces. So we are an organization that has Sunday service every Sunday. Not every church environment is doing that. So maybe someone of this community that's got a really great online forum set up is looking to have like an additional support system in a different way. So there's all kinds of ways we can collaborate, but now it's organizing, like who decides to organize it, who decides to take the lead. We're all at capacity. We're all doing this with pennies. We're all raising families and being humans in the world. How do you make sure we have the capacity to fully engage in collaboration? So we're managing expectations and meeting each other where we're at in the evolution of that collaboration.
Yeah, I would love to see, just as another example, our seminary be a source of empowerment for other churches who don't have the capacity or interest in focusing on education. Like, we do so much education with Psanctuary. That's like one of our really important things that we do and work on every day. So helping to just educate other church members and help folks feel like, okay, I think like having a mushroom practice in my own home, in my own community, and holding space for my spouse or my family member or my loved one who's going through an end of life transition, or being more of a support in that way would be something I would love to see in the future as our seminary grows. Yeah. That's a really great question.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And we have more questions.
Woo!
And if y'all are, whoever's live in the chat, if you have any questions, like Jordan did, please drop them in. We'll try and answer them. We talk a lot.
Read
will.
some questions. Read some questions. Time is limited. For God's sakes, let's have fun.
Thank you. All right. What are you most excited about for this year? Was a question we got from one of our members. What are you most excited about? There's no like specific area of life.
Is this within Sanctuary? I'm assuming it's within Sanctuary. Well,
probably.
Personally, I'm most excited right now about the upcoming ceremonies. It's been too long. It feels like I'm really, I had such a massive level of ceremony burnout. It's really impossible for people to understand how taxing it was doing, 3 ceremonies a week, 2 weeks out of the month for years and years and years. But I'm at the point now where I'm feeling like I'm like really excited about this Maria Sabina celebration that's coming up, and then one for the fall, and we're talking about more ceremonies for next year. So like that's what's really got me excited right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's similar to what I was going to say, which is developing. So y'all are going to be hearing a lot more about new programs that we're developing and rolling out. And one of them is a much requested initial program for members who come into our community and all of our existing members, which we're calling the Membership Foundations program. It's a 4-week program. And we're in process of developing that now, and we're going to be talking a lot about it really soon. And the idea is that members go through this foundations of learning about Psanctuary and how our community is built and set up, and how we operate, and like more about holacracy, more about RIFRA, more about how we show up together and relate together in community, like community building skills as well, and so much more. Kind of like bits and pieces, most important bits and pieces from our minister training programs, and then more just structural stuff about Psanctuary, so everybody knows like what are my abilities to show up in this community, and like how can I move in this community. That's something we've wanted to have for a while, and so rolling that out, and then those members who go through it and pass the requirements of it will then be able to attend members only ceremonies again. So that's a pretty big deal for us in getting to a point where we can now offer this education in this way for our members and reopen low dose member ceremonies. And then our ministers will still have ministers only ceremonies, but those will open up higher dosing abilities. So that's very exciting for me.
Mm. The first thing that pops up in my head I am most excited for is to get through these transitions. Like, most excited to be on the other side of these transitions, because they're so hard. They're so hard, you all. Like, and we've been through so many together, like as like people who work together in the same space over the last almost 8 years, like each time it's like, okay, new program or a new onboarding or new this or new that, and then you get a little bit of time where everything's rolling and everything's moving hunky-dory, and then it's like, all right, time to switch it up again, because we're evolving, because we're growing, it's important. But y'all, like I'm very resistant. And one of the like I'm like, okay, Courtney, tell me what I need to do and maybe give me a pep talk, because I'm very resistant to what's, I know it's good for me. It's like I have to like put myself into like, okay, it's like the mushroom experience, right? Like if I trust and if I allow and if I recognize the challenge, and mostly I've been sitting still in anticipation for this rollout. I'm like, all right, it's coming. It's coming. And I know here in a few months it's going to feel totally different. I'm ready for that.
That is a really nice feeling to have.
You're ready for the
our whole sorry, go on.
Oh, that's all right. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say our whole team, our staff and our volunteers who really show up and are helping a lot. A lot of us are navigating the day every day with like constant butterfly stomach. That like, the feeling when the mushroom, like you're saying, Athena, that the mushroom's coming on, you're stepping into the mushroom space and it's like going up the roller coaster. And like, I don't know, like I'm just following guidance from like people and sources I trust, and I'm just trying to listen and do good work and be of service. And like, but this is so much. So I feel you. I really feel you a lot on that one.
But I've also seen the other side. I know what's on the other side.
We've been through this quite a bit together at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, you want another question? Oh, yeah. Somebody asked some questions in the chat. Dawn asked, or Jordan said, tell us more about the Maria Sabina celebration. Eric, you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah. Maria Sabina, the shaman, the curandera who brought mushrooms to the world basically by giving them to Gordon Wasson, who, basically died an impoverished life despite Wasson making millions off of her legacy. So, the reason I started Myco like years and years ago, a driving reason why I started Myco was to try to in some way redeem the damage done by hippie culture that had gone into Oaxaca and basically just like trash the place, thrill seeking. And there was all this hype around ayahuasca at that time, and it's like, dude, just take more mushrooms, you'll get there. And so, studying Maria Sabina has just been a huge driving force behind my love and dedication to this work. And so when we started talking about like what would be like a holiday that we would have within Psanctuary, that was the first thing that came to my mind was Maria Sabina's birthday. So the celebrations, as the word implies, is, geared more towards a celebration with psilocybin. And also open to the reality that anything can happen when you take mushrooms. So, purging and puking or burping for 4 hours, as the case may be, can be celebration as well if you know how to look at it like that. So just, acknowledging that whatever happens in the ceremony is okay. You don't have to be celebrating to be in the celebration and like doing the work. And but one of the kind of key components of these celebrations that I'm also trying to introduce. It was a question in the myself call last night. I want to put a video up on this, but it's like eventually when you're working with mushrooms, you come to understand that everybody that's in the space is a space holder. It doesn't matter if it's your first time or if it's your 500th time. Everyone has a level of responsibility to the energy. The energy in the container and the group overall. And so this is an opportunity where we try to work. We have at least 2, I think 3 people who have not taken any sacrament, but they're not like the official space holders necessarily. They're there in case an emergency, someone needs to get in the car and drive. That's what they're there for, basically. And so it's the concept of everybody, while on low doses of psilocybin, supporting each other and being there together in this communal space. That's kind of the motif of the celebrations, and this one just being a focus on Maria Sabina. I'm planning on having this picture of Maria Sabina laminated and on a pole with a bunch of banners and pretty stuff that we can have her at the center of our celebration. So
Yeah, we can all bring an offering.
yeah, I just like, I guess the last thing I say is that, you know, there are so many ideas and things that we have wanted to do, and we do incrementally. And this is one of those things that I think is this the second or third year that we've done Maria Sabina celebration? But like, I hope that as it continues and time goes on, these become more like rich in terms of what we all bring to the ceremony. And so I've just been, rather than trying to force it and be like, we're going to have this big thing, just try to let it organically play out. And yes, Dawn, there is a ceremony prior to the Kentucky Mushroom Festival.
Mm-hmm. All right. So another question. Are there any questions that y'all saw that you wanted to answer?
I don't have the questions in front of me. So
okay.
How did we meet? That was one that someone was like, how did we meet?
I still think it's crazy that you all never met prior.
Yeah. People ask Athena and I, it's been enough to where they ask us, are you all sisters?
Yeah. I thought you all were sisters.
I just assumed.
The soul sisters.
No, yeah, but we were born in the same year.
Like a month apart.
And grew up in the same town.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't meet until Athena came to work with Myco Meditations, the retreat business that Eric and I got going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were so many times our paths could have crossed because you went to Manual and I had ties there. Where did you ice skate?
I skated at Iceland.
Okay, so I worked at Alpine.
That's right. I did skate at Alpine.
You worked at that ice skating rink?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
2 seasons I worked there.
Wow.
We may have met.
We may have met and just didn't know. And yeah, so, and then I met Eric because he was connected to my aunt on Facebook. As the story goes, I think you were thinking about homeschooling someone and you got connected with Jenny, and because my aunt is big in the homeschool community, and then y'all just remained friends on Facebook, and then you made the post, got an investment, looking for an assistant. I had been talking about wanting to do mushrooms for the first time, and my aunt was like, hey, there's this guy that just posted a job to go to work for a mushroom retreat center. I was like, I don't know anything about mushrooms.
Just jump right in all the way?
I don't know.
Mushroom experience.
How am I going to work for this guy? I know nothing. I just know I want to try mushrooms. And she was like, well, what's it hurt to interview? I was like, well, I guess that's right. Like,
thank you, Sandy.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to interview. And then, rest is history. Here we are.
It was your psilocybin blue hair that convinced me.
Yeah. For those that don't know, I've had many color hair. My hair was not always been long and natural. It's been blue and pink and purple and all kinds of fun colors.
Oh my gosh. I really wish I had that. There's this picture of you, Athena, on a virtual reality
I saw that.
Oh my gosh.
Console, because so Eric invested in a virtual reality.
This is gonna be it.
Console for like psychedelic, thinking, well, maybe we could get a developer to develop a psychedelic experience there, which I mean, still
it's happening.
It's happening.
Like just because I had that idea 10 years in advance doesn't mean it was a bad idea.
was a good idea.
It was a good idea.
I just didn't have the
It
ability
just
to develop.
wasn't
Yeah.
the focus point.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't.
But
Yeah.
there's a picture of Athena.
In the VR.
It's like day 2 of work. Eric's like, try this virtual reality thing. Anyway.
Hey, I was like, all right.
Yeah. And Eric and I met, I feel like I've told this story so many times. But I went to tour his mushroom farm, his gourmet mushroom farm in Indiana. When I was managing Rainbow Blossom, and I found out there was a local certified mushroom expert who's growing shiitake, lion's mane, oyster, reishi, and I thought I gotta see this. I want to learn how to forage. I just thought I can just learn how to forage. I'll just do that real quick. And this guy, we can just take a tour and he'll show me the basics, I'm sure, and then I can go out in the forest and
I got it. Easy.
I'm good. Yeah, eat for free. And instead I ended up marrying you. So and then I just and then right.
More mushrooms than you could have bargained for.
My secret intention.
I did have a trip one time with Courtney and I together where I was convinced that she had been stalking me and that she had the intention all along to come to my farm to somehow take my lack of riches and join me in my life of lonely misery. That's what you wanted all along, isn't it?
We're like coming like out of the peak of the mushroom space, and you turn to me and you're like, "You've been stalking me, haven't you?" And I'm like, "What?" And I was like, "That's so funny." And he was like, "You have, haven't you?" And I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" No. And it was a whole thing. We're still unpacking it, I think. That was like 10 years ago, but there's some soul stuff there, some soul correction stuff there we got going on. All right, so we just got a few minutes left. So
I have a good question I would like to okay. It's on your list. And it's kind of like a combined question. So I'm going to combine 2 questions. Like, what do you hope this church becomes in 10 years? And what does success look like for you? Not in numbers, but in spirit. Like, I like these questions.
Go ahead, Athena.
How would you answer it?
Yeah. All right. So what success looks like to me in 10 years, what I hope that it can look like, is that the spirit of Psanctuary and its community, like, that you feel its intention, that you recognize its groundedness, like its steadiness. I imagine it being an anchor. Like, maybe it's not a spot that you stay in all the time, but it's a spot you can come back to and revisit. And in 10 years, I hope that maybe like one of the children in my life has decided to maybe step into this journey and this work, and that I could be around to help hold space for that. And I imagine a lot of just rich community connections and the opportunity to just be. Like, let me just be for a second. Like, not all these things that you want me to be or you think I should be, but in Psanctuary, I can just be. I can be quiet. I can be, I can take up space. I can be a part of the space. I can, step away. Like, all these different, like, I feel like we have really tried to create a space that really meets people where they're at on their journey, because we're all coming to this at different levels and different points in our lives. Like, I want to engage with the community in this way, or I learn this way. So I'm an immersive learner. I want to be in it. And not everyone learns like me. So what can we co-create, or how are you already engaging with the community? Like, I think this is so interesting. And I had someone reflect this to me, a family member. You may be engaging with Sanctuary. You're not a member. You're not attending Sunday service. You have not come to a community circle, but you're engaging with someone who is. And by proxy, that person who is learning and growing and working out these new ways to communicate is integrating with you outside of the community. And so that is an extension of. And so just remembering and recognizing, like, it's a constant, like, reciprocatory experience.
Yes. Yeah. What are we all putting into our community field? Because as I shared in the Soul Talk recently, I think it was June or I can't remember which one it was, but it can be hard to feel like we have such a great impact, and that can be empowering or that can be scary, but each one of us does really have a huge impact on not just our immediate household, but our community at large and how we show up in the world. It just is this ripple effect, like I think you said, Athena. So yeah, for me, well, let's see. Yeah, our kids will be 14 and 18, which is crazy to think about. And I would love to have a space for them, as you touched on, Athena, that they can have mentorship within our community, and hopefully, they want it, but I guess I got to let go of that because they may not, which is fine. But at least to have that ability for them to seek mentorship and other people besides me and Eric, their parents, to really get advice from that they trust and feel good about. Which then has me think about having a council of elders. I would really, really love to have that for our community and for our leadership and our board. That is feeling more and more like a strong desire for me. And just more rites of passage, really, opportunities with the mushroom involved in some way for different phases of life. Yeah, a good solid 10-year vision, I think.
So what does success look like for you then, personally? How do you know you're being successful?
Ooh. It's a really good question. When I have this feeling that comes to me of being able to let go, like having a certain, like a really deep faith that if I step away, then things will continue. Success, like things will thrive still. And that's where I'm trying to put my vision at more and more, and how I show up every day is how can I create, with my role right now, create ways in which this thrives without me. Because you never know. And each of us
Or
isn't
you
going
might
to be
want
here
to take a
forever
day off
anyway. I
sometime.
may want a vacation.
Yeah.
I want a vacation.
So,
Also,
I love you all. I love Sanctuary so much, and I need a week off so bad. I can't
yeah,
begin to.
yes.
Just,
Well, that ministry standard of having 4 weeks
we've
off
got to get
that
there.
we
Yeah.
were recently advised about from a
Mhm,
trusted minister in our community,
mhm,
that sooner than 10 years.
mhm.
Before the
Maybe
end
sooner.
of the year. Before the end of the
Yeah.
year.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, so for me, like this is a new phase in my life where and I can like separate the two. So I'm so thankful and I'm so passionate and I'm so about continuing our ceremonies being donation based and sacrament having no money attached to it. And at the same time, Sanctuary has to have significant capital in order to survive. And so for me, for the first time in my life, seeing that financial growth is actually an indicator of success for me, that it feels very important, because part of that 10-year goal is having the Hogwarts of psilocybin or other psychedelics as well, perhaps. And like if you can take that vision, like that very real vision of like a Hogwarts for psychedelics, and imagine everything that has to happen for that to be in place, like that, there's a lot. There's all the rites of passage and all the ministers and all that stuff. And then there is, along with that, there are these communities around the country that are growing within having their, properties or places, locations where they are doing in person. And then we could like, annually have conferences where people get together. Like I part of this, I see drastically shifting the landscape of religious communities generally. We've been living in a world where church is not an experiential, like you go to church and you feel better and like that's all good, but to have that real powerful direct experience with the mystery speaking to you, informing the direction of your life and providing feedback on, like that's something that this world sorely needs. We are so done with somebody else telling us how to get in touch with God. So like that vision of multiple centers with one in particular that is like the hub where the main training takes place, and where we are actually relearning the deep skill sets that we used to have that allowed us even without the sacrament. I think that's where this ultimately goes, is taking us where we don't need the sacrament anymore to access those states of consciousness. And then the last thing I would say, that another component of success, what success looks like to me in this, because this is so much a part of what we do every day, and what is like a cornerstone of Sanctuary, is having the hard conversations and coming back together and like not just bailing on each other because things get difficult. And like that has become a part of our culture, a part of our spiritual malaise, is this, oh well, you pissed me off, I'm going to go over here and find a new set of friends now, and then you're going to do the same thing in 6 months or a year. And so like to help people really understand that if we're like, we are all in this together, and so if we're going to be in this together, then we might as well just be in this together because we're already in this together. So that's like that feels like such an important re-education for us in our society, to like kind of step back from this disposable communities, disposable friendships, disposable relationships. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
This is more than a Netflix subscription.
Yes.
uh,
It's hard. It's hard. Being in community is
yes.
really challenging. We've all got a lot of shadow. We've all got a lot of unhealed ick, but we're only going to heal it if we stick through it together.
Yeah. And it's also, we all have a lot of light to let in, and that can be really uncomfortable too. Like
Mhm.
just receiving love and attention and continued accountability from the heart is not something that like a lot of us have gotten.
I gotta say this. I gotta say this, and then I gotta go get the kids. But I was at the gym today working out, and I was asking myself, like, what do I need to do in order to help Sanctuary succeed? And the answer that I got was stop being afraid of being seen. So I would let you all, maybe you don't have to answer that yourselves, but as founders of this organization, the energy that we have is incredibly important. We are the channels for this organization. Even if we do step back and we're not in the center of the board, we are still the energetic channels for this organization. And so sitting with that question might prove valuable.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. We're 10 past, so I'm gonna end this. Thank you all for everyone who's still here and has been here. This is awesome. I'm really pleased with all the witnesses that we had and will have. So thanks for participating. It was really fun.
Maybe we should do it again. Maybe we should do it.
Maybe it should be like a episodic type of thing. I loved it.
I think there's something there. All right.
Well, here we go. Taking us out with some hip hop. Oh. Do you hear it?
No. Where'd it go? It started and then it stopped.
Okay. This is provided by Restream music. Elevator hip hop.
I like it. You know I can get down to anything.
Yeah. That's what I love about you. Whoever's here, just bust a move. Just real quick. Bust a move. Quick move. You don't have to have a whole dance party. Just do a little hip circle, maybe. Feels good.
I like to move my shoulders.
All right, everybody. Lots of love.
Bye.